Hi, welcome back. This is Breathe and Budget. My name is Taryn. On this channel, we talk about all things finance related. We talk about how we use the zero-based budget method, cash envelopes, as well as fun savings challenges to meet our financial goals. So if any of that is of interest to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, join our community here, give this video a like, and let's get into today's video. All right, you guys, so we are going to do my budget for the month of January. So let's just get into it. I'm going to have to figure out position. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the folio just because it's so much easier to work with outside of it, because I do like to flip the pages back. So what I mean by that is like this. It is a larger book. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's thick. It's the entire year. It is undated, which is great. But I just felt like when I used the full-size book, I spent more time tracking my spending than I did when I was using the smaller book set, the box set. I didn't track my spending in 2023. I didn't not meet my goals. I did very well. I'm not going to lie. But I could not tell you in what categories, like, for example, dining out, I couldn't tell you the percentage of my income that went to dining out, which is super important. It's part of having, a healthy financial system and healthy budget, is knowing where your money's going. And not just because I know I put X amount of dollars towards this category, but understanding it in terms of I spent, let's say, 15% of my income just on dining out. What if I reduce that to 8%? What I could do with the rest of that, right? So it just kind of opens up like that thinking. So it allows you to kind of, I guess, reevaluate where you might need to reevaluate and open your eyes on your spending in various categories. So for the sake of time, just because I am pressed for time, I've kind of already recreated this and it's off to the side, but like kind of a rough draft, messy. So I'm going to just go ahead and transfer it over to this one. So for our income, we both are salaried employees. We both get paid twice a month on specific days. And I know what my first check's going to be because it's already put in, like, hit my account, because I get paid on December 30th. And that last check of the month always goes towards the next month. So for me, for my first check, I know it's going to be $2,107. And then this may change. I guess there's like new laws going into effect that might change how much they pay him in his salary. I don't really quite understand. So we're going to figure that out. But for right now, I'm going to stick with what we believe it should stay. But if it doesn't, I will just adjust accordingly. So I'm not entirely, I'm not worried. So I'm going to bring in later in the month the money that we need to fund our ring alarm. We already saved it, so we have the money sitting in an envelope. We have 80 saved. Let me zoom you in just a little bit more. Ooh, there we go. We already have 80 saved, so we'll be rolling that into our income, but not this first paycheck. So, and then we're going to be adding 20 to make the 100 that we need. So we kind of had to quickly fund this one. So we had to we had to cash stuff $20 a month to get it to that 100 before January 22nd. And then for February, we can start cash stuffing less because we'll have 11 months to fund it. So we just basically had to play catch up. Okay. So not including this 80, the total here is $9,747. That's what we're working with. Okay. So here is where I list all my fixed expenses. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will speed you through it. All right, so that is the fixed expenses. I'm not counting this 100 from ring alarm just yet in this calculation, just because I will be factoring in this $80 and then the 20 that we're going to cash stuff for it to fund that later. So the fixed expenses all added up for the month is, well, we're also putting $1,000 into our checking account cushion. because I did have to use some. So I'm going to just replenish the whole thing. And if we wind up having more than 1,000, that'll just either roll over or we'll just use it as needed. So that is $3,322. Okay, so with what we're starting with, our income, the $9,747, I'm going to go ahead and minus our fixed expenses. So that will leave us with $6,425. So then what I do is I take that leftover amount and I put it right here where it says leftover, $6,425. Let me move this up a little bit now. So variable expenses, basically I use this section to put my essential binder categories. So this is where I list those. These are the ones that can technically change month to month. So far I have found a good number for each of them. Pets we did have to adjust, but sometimes these will fluctuate. Like January we'll be getting more for spending and more for dining out, because my daughter has that surprise getaway for me in the middle of January that I have to financially prepare for, just because I don't know what she has set up and I don't know what she has thought of in terms of planning, but I know we're going to need gas to get there and I know we're going to need to eat. So I'm just kind of preparing for it myself, just in case. Let me go ahead and just write them, speed you through it, and then we'll discuss it. All right, so for groceries, we do 1,000, $250 a week. Gas, we do 800, so 200 a week. Nails, we're going to do 390. It's higher because the way the weeks fell, I needed to fund the appointment that's happening today on the 30th right away. And then the rest of this will be for our appointment in 3 weeks from now. Then we have 800 for spending. Normally that would be 400 for him, 200 for me, but I've increased it by 200 for myself, just considering that weekend. Date nights, 100, toiletries and household, those are both 100. Pets, I've increased to 200 because I need to get those different categories that I created and kind of figured out how much I need to ensure that all the pets have what they need. That will be what I use to start stuffing those envelopes. And then for kids, 100. So total here is going to be $4,190. Okay, so that should leave me with $2,835. Okay, so maybe I did the math wrong. Hold on. Okay, so this is going to be 3,590, which is going to leave me with 2,835. All right. So I'm going to roll that 2,835 over here towards my sinking funds. Other than our car and our mortgage, we don't have debt. So I use this section for other savings categories. So this is actually not going to be for debt. It'll be for savings. So for our sinking funds, these are the things that I want to fund this month. And I've also looked at it at a year glance based on when they will be due, when I will need that money, how many months I have to save for it to determine the amounts. So that is should be in a video that I've already posted, basically explaining to you how I set up my 2024 year. So let's go ahead and let me list these here. I'll speed you through. All right, so for this section, what we've decided to do is we're starting the 52-week challenge. This is going to go towards home renovations. Then we have our emergency savings. We have our Roth IRA, our ring alarm, that extra 20 I said we needed to bring in to make that 100 that's due. And then we're going to do 210 towards our Allstate. So that is our Can-Am insurance. This should fully fund it. We'll be ready when the bill comes around in July. But I am going to already start putting money towards it in February for July of 2025. That way we're putting significantly less each month to fund it. Then we have 100 to vehicle registration, 200 to vehicle maintenance, $10 to detailing, $100 to our earthquake policy, and then $50 to pest control. And then for Atlas's gear, I'm going to go ahead and throw $5 to it. So let me just confirm that I added these up correctly. Okay, so without Atlas's gear, this one is $1,100 in this section, which leaves us with $1,735. I'll roll that $1,735 over, and I'm going to count Atlas's gear into this section. So let me go ahead and do this section. All right, so this all together right here is going to be $370. So we're going to put $20 towards our AAA, And then wellness, we're going to do 120. This is yoga, gym equipment, things like that. Grocery overage, we'll put 25. And clothing, we're going to go ahead and start with putting 200, just because the kids often need clothing, and then myself as well. So I just want to start funding that one quickly. So that leaves us with $13.65. So I'm going to put that down here, $13.65. And I have other categories, so I'm going to have to just kind of use the back page too to include it, because I don't have enough space here for the different categories that I'll be funding. Not everyone is going to have this many categories, so don't let this overwhelm you. This works for me. I love that each category is listed here that I need to fund, because I often, for the first couple of years, forgot about these things. And then when the bill would come, I was like, what, $900 to vehicle registration? I hadn't thought about it. Like, you need clothes? What do you mean none of your underwear fit you? So I'm just planning ahead. So to me, I need these categories to make my life more in order, like financially. But not everyone needs to start with this. If you're just starting, I would pick maybe a handful of sinking funds. Maybe start with like holidays and birthdays, and then like any kind of insurance, registrations, things like that that you have coming up. All right, so let me go ahead and do this section. All right, so this section is going to be 245, which will leave us with 1120. So I'm just going to use the back page. Even though this is supposed to be for the breakdown, I'm just going to use this section because I already did my breakdown on the individual page for that paycheck for the first month of January. So I don't need the breakdown for the monthly, because I do my breakdown on the weekly paychecks. So let's see. Y'all, my camera like didn't record this part where I wrote all this, but I'm adding 220 to Christmas, 100 to Halloween, and 200 to 4th of July, getting a jump start, like finishing 2024, so that I can allocate less each month for 4th of July for 2025 and get a head start. You're going to see here that I'm going to wind up with $600 left over. Normally, I would make this a zero-based budget, give every dollar a job, but that $600 is going to have a job. That $600 is going to sit in my account, acting as an additional buffer until I have a better idea as what's going to happen with my husband's income. I had mentioned in the top of this video that there is going to be some change, but I honestly couldn't tell you what it is, neither could he. So I'm going to just let it sit there. I'm not going to touch it until we have a better idea of what's going on. All right, so this right here is going to be $520. And so if we take what we had left over, that's going to leave us with $600. But again, this has a very special job. So even though I'm not allocating it right now, and you're not seeing me finalize this budget with a $0 amount, this is basically that bottom line. This is my zero. I need to save this. I'm not going to allocate it just yet until I have a better understanding as to what's going to happen with his income. And then we can go from there. But let's just say this was like, I knew exactly what I was doing with it. I'd probably have a few more categories here. I would allocate that $600, and then this would be $0. So that is what a zero-based budget is. Basically taking all the income that you're going to receive. You're going to put what you assume you're going to get, but you want to assume the lowest. Like, it could be higher, right? Not necessarily lower though. So this is like bottom. And then you list all of your bills, all of your savings goals and things like that until you get to $0. So you're basically giving every dollar a job. So some people feel like this is living paycheck to paycheck or spending all your money. I don't see it in that way, like living paycheck to paycheck. I'm just being intentional with each paycheck, and then I'm saving. I'm saving a grip of money. If you do the math, I'm saving far more than I'm spending. And to me, that means I guess we're okay, we're doing good. If something were to happen, we would have various sources of having to like pull the money and cover, that emergency. But that's also why I am a strong believer that you can pay down debt and save at the same time. Because even if you're putting all your money towards debt, if an emergency happens, what do you think you're going to do to fund that emergency? You're going to pull out your credit card and you're going to go into more debt. It makes no sense. So in my opinion, you should be doing both, paying down your debt and building a healthy savings. Most people can't fund $1,000 emergency right now. Most people wouldn't even know how they were going to cover that. So that's what I mean by like creating a healthy financial situation for yourself, is making sure that you have money set aside for those times where you encounter something, maybe a bill higher than you anticipated, or something happens with your car. You just need to be prepared. And that's Coco in the background if you hear her. But that is it. I do use the Budget by Paycheck workbook. Oh my God. The Budget by Paycheck workbook by the Budget Mom. And I will have that linked down below. I will tag her as well. She has amazing YouTube videos explaining the process, how to use this book, and then just other like advice that I have found to be extremely valuable in the last 3 years going into the 4th year. I'm so grateful that I found her. I can't even begin to tell you. But that is it. I gotta go. I gotta head to my nail appointment and get my day started, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.